Hello, everybody. My name's Claire, and I'm from Keep Pace, which is a fundraising consultancy. And we're very pleased to be able to take over the airways for Charity People today. And this is my colleague Louisa, who's an emotions expert, and I'm sure she'll explain a lot more of what that means. But the reason that we're live today is that we've just put together a joint product. And so that's what we're sharing with you. A little bit about Keep Pace. We're a fundraising consultancy and we offer practical support. We do advice and training, but we actually also go to organisations and run appeals that can actually create income for you, and also benchmark where your supporters are up to and who's engaged and who's not. We also do really exciting stuff like streamlining admin processes and just making things more efficient. But what I've noticed is, because I work with a whole range of clients, is that there is quite a lot of gaps in resource at the moment, and a huge amount of churn in the charity sector. There always has been, but it has reached crisis levels right now. And this is something that I've been chatting with Louisa about, and we've been putting our heads together and thinking about why that is the case.
Yeah, so thank you, Claire. I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm Louisa Hussey. I'm an emotions expert and I work specifically with pressure management. And today we're talking about toxic pockets at work and how that kind of vibe can affect the entire dynamic of your team. It can affect your recruitment, and it can be one of the reasons why people leave and why there is such this musical chair kind of vibe and the churn within the recruitment at the minute. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what we mean by a toxic pocket. When I talk about it, you'll know exactly what I mean. You might even be in one. There's no shade here. Or you might be fully aware of one that's happening within your organisation. It's a group of people, could be just two, could be wider than that, who are not happy at work and they are prepared to tell everybody about it. So they might be feeling misunderstood, undervalued. They might be feeling belittled or insulted. And they can have a massive, massive impact on the way that the team operates. So we are fully aware that you will really resonate with this today. And we're also totally aware that this might feel quite sensitive and you might not want to publicly share on this platform today with us about what's going on for you and your organisation. So we're just going to invite you to send us a message directly, either through LinkedIn or through the link that we share later, and let us know what is really happening for you. So Claire, do you want to talk a little bit about how this conversation came up and the gap that you've recognised?
Yeah, when I set up my consultancy, I thought, to be honest, I would be delivering training and just giving the theory, and because I've worked across the sector with all kinds of different organisations and different fundraising types have got different strengths. So hospices are brilliant at in-memory and legacy. Environmental have got different focuses, and I've worked across, and so what I thought was I would be able to share my knowledge from different organisations and kind of bring in different appeals to charities that might not have fundraised in that particular way. That's what my expectation was. What I was actually finding, and what I continue to find, and our consultancy are continuing to support different organisations, is where there's a gap in resource, where they haven't been able to recruit people, or there's miscommunication between senior management and staff on the delivery side. And as a consultant, you're quite fortunate to be able to go into offices or to be in environments and have conversations with people. And because you're an outsider, you can really see the dynamics that are at play. And like you were saying, there really are problems with communication, and it's not anybody's fault. It tends to be when there's so much pressure in fundraising and there's so little resource, and we're not working the way that we were a few years ago. That's continuing. So these little pockets of frustration a kind of festering and then making things not work in the way that you would like. And I can come in with the very best strategy and an appeal that I know works and processes that are just slick as anything. But if the team's not feeling it, then it's going to be really tricky to actually implement these brilliant ideas. And that was the conversation that I began to have with you. And we've been having this conversation for a while informally, but just recently we thought, there's a way we can actually help teams address these issues and resolve the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I really want to be really clear on here, actually, is that we're not talking about mental health support.
No.
Even my family yesterday was like, oh yeah, but mental health. I'm like, it's not mental health. If people are struggling at work, and it is I'm going to reframe. Some people absolutely need the mental health support that is available through mental health first aiders and all the employee assistance programs. Absolutely. But quite often people don't need it. They need emotional support. And the emotions we're talking about are things like anger, frustration, disappointment, feeling belittled. Those kind of emotions are so real and so valid. And what happens hand in hand with that is becomes emotional burnout. That actually comes into low energy, people feeling depleted, needing support, which perhaps is not available at work. And we really recognize actually there is a missing piece here of being able to support people with these emotions without it being you need help. And one thing that we were talking about definitely was actually when you have to give people the opportunity to actually express this stuff without any fear of repercussion, without actually being labeled as troublemaker or difficult or any of those things which can make it challenging. That's what we're targeting today. And we were going to talk, weren't we, Claire, about why this is a problem. It's not just about the cost of recruitment, is it?
No, I mean, if you've got staff that are disengaged or disaffected, or if they're walking out the door, or if they're not performing to the full potential because of frustrations, then it's really bad for the charity's reputation. Keep Pace specialises in legacy fundraising. We do the whole lot, but legacy in particular. And if those relationships, if you're not answering inquiries that are coming in from supporters, it's a seriously bad situation for the charity to be in reputationally. But I think what's really important to address as well is that it's not management's fault, it's not the individual's fault. It's just we are working in a very different way than we were a few years ago, and communication is more difficult. And if people are feeling tricky or whatever their emotions, you can tell I'm not the emotions expert. This is bad. And it's hard to function. And as a manager, I've spoken to senior fundraisers who've gone, that's not really why I got into fundraising. I got into fundraising because I want to generate income and I want to make the world a better place. I don't want to be a HR specialist. And I'm like completely there. Yeah, that's not my bag. But that is definitely what I'm seeing. And I've also seen how effectively, Louisa, you can just unblock that emotional baggage and then inspire people again, get people excited about why they are working for a particular cause and why they want to change the world. Fundraising should be the most positive and affirming sector of them all. And it's just so sad that we're in a crisis. And we kind of, I think as a sector, we need a bit of help.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly what you said, that this is nobody's fault. You know, this is not the employee's fault. This is not the manager's fault. What it actually is just a complete lack of the appropriate resource. And, you know, I've worked for managers who are not counsellors. They're not counsellors or therapists. They don't have the skills to be able to support people who really need to express some emotional stuff. They don't have it, and now that they shouldn't have to. No. Obviously, the more senior you go, you talked yesterday about an ex-head of fundraising who said that's actually 90% of her job was just managing everybody's needs.
Yeah, and she left. She left fundraising, and a really significant big charity, and years of experience, had built her way up and up and up, and then was just like, I love raising money. I love making a difference to a cause. I really can't deal with that emotional baggage that I'm just being drawn into, or having to micromanage somebody who's not coping, and they can't be honest with me about not being able to cope because I'm their boss and they don't want to be put on performance management, and then I've got to put them on performance management anyway, and it's all uncomfortable, and that's not what you get into fundraising for. You certainly don't get into fundraising for the sociable hours and the huge expense accounts. You don't get that. But then if you don't get the nice feeling of a supportive environment, or it's the values on the wall are just there, but you're kind of going, right, really?
It's lip service.
Yeah, we don't want lip service. But again, as internal fundraising teams, you don't necessarily have those softer skills because that's not your area of specialism.
Exactly.
So, it's yours, Louisa.
Yeah, absolutely. This is absolutely my specialism, is allowing people to say exactly what they want, express it in whatever manner they need to, and process it and let go of it. So this is not just talking therapy. This is not just, I need to tell you that this is rubbish and my manager did X, Y, and Z. That's not the point. The point is just being allowed to get it all out, and then having the clarity of thought process and emotional clarity to say, actually, what do you want to do about this? Which helps the employee, and it helps the team, and it helps the organization. The ripple effect is enormous. And that's what we're offering, isn't it, Claire? We're offering a dual targeted approach with both of us. We want to invite you to work with us. And what you get when you work with both of us as a package is the pressure management from me. So whatever pressures your team are under, I handle. I don't do any strategic stuff. I'm not going to give you any strategies to follow. I'm literally going to let you do the emotional stuff with me, in-house or on Zoom, whatever works for you. And then we get the resource support from you, Claire. And what I wanted just to say was, when you would allow people to address their grievances head on, to vent, moan, whinge, whatever you need to do without any fear of repercussion, loosening that intensity is the expertise. And then what happens at the end of it is you feel relieved, you feel lighter, you feel emotional. And what is really specific for us, isn't it, Claire? It's about being able to manage with humanity. We don't want anyone to feel hurt or desperate, or if they need to leave, that it's actually a really empowered decision rather than I'm being managed out and this is horrible. So
it's having that buffer. If you work with us, then the frustrations can be aired in a really safe space. Mm-hmm. And then we can feed back both ways to all the staff that's involved, because you are a team at different levels. We can be really honest and say, look, the reason this isn't working is because of this, this, this. I can draw on my experience working with all kinds of different organisations that have gone through a restructure, or they've had a serious amount of churn, or they've just got a whole lot of new staff and then they just want a bit of direction. So those frustrations that might have happened in the past, or there's always the potential for miscommunication, I can work to sort of address those early on, or reflect back and say, look, this is where it's developed. And these are the kind of the strategies, and these are the sort of appeals that you can actually do immediately, generate some income, and then let's move on and build the team sort of together. And I think having that sort of the emotional and then the fundraising experience and appeals and strategies and procedures that just make it easier, that's not something we're seeing widely offered. They tend to sit separate, but if you don't have a holistic approach, you can have the very best appeals in the world presented to you to implement. But if your head and your heart's not there, then you're not going to dazzle.
Exactly. And I know that there's been lots of conversation around supporting staff, particularly with all of this pandemic, with everyone being isolated, being at home. Trying to re-energize people is incredibly challenging when they are not in the environment they're used to. And emotions do run deep. And quite often people will be offered an opportunity to say, well, do you want to speak to the in-house mental health first aider? Personally, that could have been the most horrific option for me, because I don't want to tell somebody in the organization why I'm so distressed. So by taking it external, we are completely open We are not, we don't judge anybody. We are taking everything at absolutely what you tell us. And that's where we work from. No historic, oh, well, because, and that's always the way we've done it. Okay, great. Let's deal with it. What do we want to do about it?
Think of us as like a team day out. Only instead of it being right, okay, so we consciously don't speak about work and we're just going to do, I don't know, axe throwing or some other bizarre activity. People in an organisation, they want to talk about work, not necessarily always in a work setting, but nobody is as connected to what you do as the other people that do it with you. So by offering an opportunity where you've got a safe space and you can talk about all the bits in work that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk directly to your managers about, just because there is that discomfort. It works. I've seen it work already, and that's why I'm throwing my weight behind this, because I'm not an emotions expert at all. I'm all about the fundraising and the income generation. That's what I'm interested in. But I have seen Louisa work a magic, and together, we think we've got something that could be really advantageous. And if you want to have a chat with us, then well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes left. We're doing a full hour-long workshop on the 16th of May. You can sign up. I think the thing's coming across the ticker thingy, or you can message us for the link in where we're going to go really in depth into this, so you can find out really more about what we do about these toxic pockets and how you can then be the person that challenges it and create that charity where everybody wants to work, rather than the one where we all go, we're not touching that one with a barge pole. And also,
when you walk into a team and they're like, that there's been one person there for 4 years and everybody else is just brand new. You just think, oh gosh, what have I let myself in for, or what's going on here, or why are we in this situation? So supporting new teams as well as teams that are going through transition is very much something that we can help and do, and it's a really sort of supportive and human approach, really, to an issue of churn that we know is rife in our sector, sadly.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Does anybody have any want us to clarify anything, or anyone want to ask us anything about what we've got? We've got a
very specific question about ways to fundraise in Africa. I think that's something we could take offline. More than happy for you to contact Keep Pace and we can have a chat about that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Just you can contact either of us via LinkedIn, via Keep Pace, and we'll pass the information on, and we will have our own space in the next few weeks where you can contact us directly. We're really interested in hearing. Each team is an individual, so we create a bespoke approach for everybody.
Yeah,
completely dependent on your needs.
Yeah, this is not one size fits all. So we need to know from you what it is that's going on for you, so we can really help you with what exactly you need. It might be a full team approach. Other organizations, there might just be a couple of people that need some emotional support, and then the whole team can then really pull together and create. This is what everybody needs in order to earn more money, to raise more money, to really support those who really need. Somebody said, where's the link to book? I think it's popping across the ticker tape, but we will pop it up. Well, it'll all be on our LinkedIn pages as well, so you can see that.
I'm chatting about it.
Yeah. There we go. So it's at keeppaceconsults.com/contact. You can also message us through toxicpocket.com. I think that's the link. I will make sure that we get everything out onto the systems as well, so you can see it. But message us directly, Samantha Jane, and we will get that out.
Connect with us on LinkedIn, and we can continue the conversation and maybe see you again at the 16th.
Yes, fantastic. You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that your time is precious. We really look forward to hearing from you to find out how we can help and make your organisation the best one to work for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we are finished.